is perfect. Looks like we're in there, huh?
I hope so.
I think so.
Otherwise, we'll be looking really dumb.
Listen, this is our second time.
Take 2.
Yeah, this is our second time doing this. And so if this one is blurry, fuck it. You're getting a blurry video.
Just know that we were moving too fast.
Yes, we were moving too
we
fast.
We were flash.
The first video, it was about an hour. Our first video was about an hour, and we filmed it 2 days ago.
We did an awesome job.
We did an amazing job. We did really good content. I go up to upload it yesterday. I don't know what happened. From the second I walked around the corner, it latched onto my shoulder. My autofocus latched onto my shoulder and followed it the rest of the way. It was this shoulder, and then it pushed the focus this way. And so you couldn't see these beautiful faces.
And that we don't want to deprive you of
that
joy.
We cannot deprive you of these beautiful faces.
I mean, your day
I'm
will not be
even,
complete.
these days I'm even trying to dress up a little bit better, So
Did you?
Yeah,
you?
I dressed. I
mean, you were fine the day before.
Yeah, well, that's because was that yesterday? No, it wasn't yesterday.
It was Wednesday.
I had a classic American event that I had to go to, so
it wasn't for me. It was for someone else.
It wasn't for you.
That's just the story of my life. It's not for you.
It's not for you. All right. Enough shit showing. Let's actually do it. Welcome back to Home Wisdom with HBH. I'm your host, Erica Barnaby, and today we have a very special guest. Her name is Leslie, and she is with the Bergen Home Lending team with New American Funding, or you can just call her your mortgage mom.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So Leslie and I, we are both passionate lovers of the VA.
Everything VA.
Everything VA. Give it to me, put it in my veins, shoot it up, snort it, whatever we got to do, all things VA.
How we can help, yes.
How can we help you? Yep. Exactly. And this podcast, we normally shoot our podcast in the morning. I think we've already talked about this, but just in case I don't put this in at the beginning, we're going to put it right now. But Leslie is a busy lady, and today I had to get her in at 12, so we're shooting this at midday. So if you hear some music in the background, or you hear some ladies in the background, it's just other people working, and you'll have to deal with it.
Yeah. I mean, it's okay.
That's the beauty of good quality audio. Supposedly, I'm not going to hear them, so we'll see if that works.
We're going to speak loud enough so where you only care about what we're saying.
Exactly. Well, you should only care about what we're saying.
Always.
Always. All right, well, without further ado, let's get right into it. First topic, what do you want to talk about?
I just think it's important for us to reiterate how important it is to work with people who understand the VA loan program.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We met, I don't know, how long has it been? Cam was just a baby.
Yeah, Cam was 4.
Yeah,
4 years ago?
Maybe 4 years ago. And we met while you were going through your growth.
Yeah.
And making decisions in your career, which was really exciting.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I love so much is the fact that you just will go to the mat for your veterans.
Yeah.
And that spoke to me because that's how I like to think of myself, is making sure that you're educated and that you choose the right partnership, the right advocates to help you get through the home buying process.
Yeah.
And beyond, because let's be honest, we're lifetimers.
Right.
You're stuck with us for life. You choose us,
forever.
you're stuck with
Realtor
us forever.
for life.
Yes. And so I think it's important to know just that there's a lot of misinformation out about VA, and the news doesn't talk about how important and how awesome the VA product is. And I think so many veterans think that they don't qualify, so that they just don't try. And I want to discourage people from listening to that nonsense.
Yeah.
Because if you don't try, then you're never going to get a home.
I agree with that statement. And if the word you're hearing is no, and there's not words that follow it with not right now, then that loan officer or that realtor is really doing you a disservice.
I agree. If you, on any loan, honestly, if you are working with a loan professional, they should be giving you guidance on what turns it into a yes. I always say solve for yes.
Yeah.
So if the answer is not now, which is what the answer should be, because anyone can buy a house, it's about timing.
Yep, exactly.
And it's about whether or not you have all the things needed for the loan approval. And so many lenders have overlays. They have things that they have decided are their risk factors and where they feel comfortable. And because of that, so many people misrepresent that is the VA that has those, and they do not.
Yes, the my favorite thing is when someone tells you, "Oh, the VA doesn't, we got a 620 credit score." I'm going to move these out of the way so they're not a distraction. Oh, we got a 620 credit score. Well, just so you know, that's a lender credit score. That's not a VA credit score.
Yeah, VA does not have a required credit score.
Exactly.
VA is looking at the whole picture of the loan and the risk factor. So they're looking for someone who is, you could have gone through stuff in the past. We all have skeletons. We all have things in our past.
Absolutely.
Everyone has a hardship, whether it be, medical or sometimes deployment. We talk about, you're deployed, you have a minute to go and you forget to return your cable box.
Yeah.
And now you have a collection account on your credit.
Yeah. Or you take advantage of your leadership telling you, hey, your bills stop. But what they fail to tell you is they don't stop automatically. You have to continue to pay your bills unless you reach out to those particular providers, such as your credit cards, your phone bills, these type of people, and say, hey, I'm deploying to X and here's my orders. I want to put a stop hold on my payments until I come back.
Right. You have to be the action person.
Yes.
And nothing is automatic in life.
Except your taxes.
Well, and even then, if you don't file, then, it takes a minute for them to figure it out.
Oh, but they're going to figure it out.
They're going to figure it out. But you have to be proactive in your finances with anything. You have to decide what's important to you, and being able to work with great people to help guide you is what's the first step. And I think one of my biggest frustrations is that when you get turned down by another lender, there's an assumption that VA turned you down.
Yeah.
And VA did not turn you down.
9 times
I don't
out of
even
10.
care if VA is in the mortgage name.
Yeah.
It is not. VA does not lend. Okay, VA is not a lender. VA is the guide setter, and they insure or endorse the home loan.
Yeah.
So that's what the VA funding fee is about.
Yeah. The VA did not. You qualify for a VA loan. That's what I need everyone to understand. If you're active duty or retired or veteran or any of those things, and you've done your time in service and you've gotten out of the military with anything other than a dishonorable discharge, you qualify for a VA loan. It's just about how do we get you to close on a VA loan?
Absolutely. And how do you make sure that it's in your best interest to do that today? Because sometimes you need a little bit of time to recover. But VA is looking for your credit history, especially in the last 12 months. It doesn't mean if you've had an that you're disqualified. It depends on your story. You have to tell your story. And another disservice I think loan officers do is they write letters of explanation for the veterans, for our active duty military. And I think that's a huge mistake.
Yeah.
Your story is your story. And I know, and from history, is you don't like to tell your story. And I get that. I have great respect for privacy. But this is not going to go plastered anywhere. This is for the underwriter to know what happened. Yeah. And so many people, especially when we're working with a disabled veteran, have gone through some PTSD, some medical challenges, some things that really have made a hardship. And most loan officers gloss over that and just put like some generic explanation.
Lost my job.
Whatever. Or, I was ill. And not really talking about, hey, I had to go through some therapy and some stuff to overcome some of the things that I've gone through.
Correct.
Some of them have had horrific divorces, deaths in family, medical setbacks. Sometimes when you're med boarded, we talked about this, when you're med boarded, a lot of our military families don't have a lot of savings and such. And so when you're out, it takes months sometimes for you to get a check.
Absolutely.
And that is something that VA knows and understands, although they haven't fixed it.
They haven't fixed it.
But it is something that you can really do some great explanations that will still get you into an approved loan. Some of our victories this year I've shared with you, 420 credit scores, 500 credit scores, 540 credit scores. So it is not a credit score thing. It is not about credit scores. It is about your story. It is about, do you have a couple of months reserves in the bank? So do you have your payment?
All the money.
If you're not paying rent right now, it's super important that you have some money in the bank because we want to see that we're not going to have payment shock.
Yeah.
that you're going to be able to handle
Where's
that
that
payment
1,700
coming from.
2,000? Sometimes you're getting these massive homes for 3,000, 4,000 a
Correct.
month. Where in the hell is that money coming
Right.
from?
Where's your budget? And we're going to help you walk through a budget. We're going to verify your rental if you have a rental. If you're somebody who lives on base, we're going to get your LESs to show that you've been living on base. We're going to get a letter of explanation from you about your story. And you need to know that we're going to help walk you through that story. We're not going to write it for you, but we're going to help you untangle it to where it makes sense. We're going to point out all of the positive things on the loan on why you should be a homeowner. Right. VA wants you to be a homeowner. I think that's important for you to know that. Yeah. VA is a yes. We want to say yes.
And I'll give my story, right? So in my early 20s, when I joined the Army, I think at 22, I'm not 100% sure. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Let me turn my phone on silent. How rude of me. Anyways, when I joined the Army, my thought process at that age was not, I'm going to buy a house or I'm going to do this. And then life really hit me, right? So I struggled really hard with what's reality and what's...
You live in a bubble.
Yeah, you live in a bubble. And then for a very long time, going back to tell your story, right? For a very long time, I didn't give a shit about my credit because I had no intent of making it to the next steps in life. And a lot of us aren't thinking about the future because we have no intent.
Well, there's not any bandwidth to do that. There
exactly.
is not, and I pray that a lot of the mental health stuff is starting to help and that we could do more of that. That to me is such a heartbreaking statistic.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. And what I will tell you is, if you know a military service member, and we're going to talk a little bit, we're going to get back to real estate here in a second, but if you know a military service member, one of two things is guaranteed. They know someone that has, or they have thought about it. That is almost a guarantee in it. So for you loan officers, take a little compassion and put it into when you're telling the story and you're helping tell the story. Dig a little deeper, because for me, when I had to tell my story, it was I did not care that I was racking up credit debt. I did not care that I was doing this.
And when you're in a tragic situation, you have PTSD on those type of moments, and your brain does not function in the same way,
right,
when it comes to like consequences. If this, then that. That's not the way your brain works when you've gone through that. And I think when you've worked with enough people and you see, I try to see the person.
Yeah.
I don't try to see the loan. I don't try to see the guides.
Yeah.
I do see the guides, but I don't look at you going, oh, here's the box. Do you fit in the box?
Correct.
The question is, how can I help you solve for yes?
Yes.
How can I get you a yes? Because home ownership is such a foundational thing that it gives you value.
Yeah.
It gives you hope.
Yeah.
It's about a starting place. And it's a great privilege to be able to help our military families. And when you see them, I love to do rescue loans. I hate that I have to do so many of them.
A million a year. I feel like.
I love having an opportunity to tell people yes. And I've had some amazing stories. I have shed many tears with my military families.
Right.
Because there is nothing more emotional.
I agree.
To see a family go, I didn't think I was ever going to have this.
Yeah.
I had a military family. He was older, like 56, disabled vet, been in jail. And, that's bad decisions. Gosh, if we all
have,
just
some of us haven't been caught.
But when I told him his loan was approved, he cried. And to have a 50-something-year-old man
who's been to jail
cry.
Yeah.
It just was such a moment of thank you for allowing me to help walk you through this.
Yeah.
And I still check in, because that's the other thing I will tell you as humans. Check in on your military families. Yeah. Check in on your veterans.
You never know.
Just some little encouragement. This is the holiday time, so what a great time to just say, hey,
I'm here. What do you need?
I just wanted to say I'm thankful for our connection.
Yep.
And just let people know that you're available.
It goes a long way. And we don't, what I'm saying here is the reason why I'm so passionate, and I think the reason why you're so passionate, is because a lot of us VAs, a lot of us military, our story is so uniquely rooted in who we are and who we become. That when you get to encourage and amplify someone's success in becoming a homeowner, there's no drug like it.
The dopamine hit is huge.
I mean, I've done it all. I've done it all in my crazy youth, and I will tell you, there is nothing like helping someone who really is given their all for our country and for the right to sit here and talk to you on a podcast. And for me, I'll put it personally, for me, they gave me the right to have a family. They gave me the right to get married to my wife, to have babies. Whether you want to believe that or not, that's the truth. Every day, the freedom to be who I am.
Right.
I owe that to the people, maybe not the people of today's military, but the people of yesterday's military that helped fight for these freedoms that I hold true to me. So it's nothing quite like helping and making that become a reality.
Winning, showing them,
helping a teammate win, because they're for me especially, the brothers and sisters. Even if I don't know you before
right.
that, it's automatically a camaraderie that I know that you would lay your life down for me, and I would lay my life down for you.
Right.
So
it's
when
it
comes,
unspoken bond.
It's unspoken, and not all of us are like that. I will say there are not some not.
Well, and I think, but your older, truer, veterans who have been through some really traumatic moments. I think they're ride or die people.
I agree.
I believe that. Sometimes you have to get through that tough exterior to realize the humanness in that, and I think that there takes a special person. When you're dealing with money, you're dealing with people's whole life. And
Correct.
There's that sense of failure or the sense of embarrassment, maybe. If you're not a great, I don't want to be mean and say you're not a great human, but I mean, let's be honest. If you're just a box checker, you're going to miss a great opportunity to serve somebody and discourage somebody for a long time. Because a lot of times you can't pull them out of the
That's
the
what I
no.
was just about to say. Be careful with the word no with your military members and your service members, because you need to understand that word is hard.
It's final.
It's very final. It's very,
they feel permanent.
And especially if you're dealing with someone, with PTSD, or you're dealing with someone who was med boarded, someone like me, right? So the rug was pulled from underneath my feet. Right. I wanted to do this for 20 years. I felt that was my calling. I was supposed to do this for 20 years.
You feel abandoned. You feel very alone, and you feel that your words are so very important in any way.
Yes.
Not just with military, but anyway.
Yes.
But more important when you're dealing with someone who has had trauma.
Yeah.
And I feel like since you don't know the story, you have to always go into it assuming that there's been trauma.
Yeah.
Because you have to be patient, and sometimes some of our disabled veterans can be a little snarky.
We can be.
And you have to be able to say, hey, I see I've caught you at a bad time.
Yeah.
I am going to call you back tomorrow morning. And I want you to have a great night. And because there are moments that are better for them physically, emotionally, mentally.
Yeah.
And you have to not be a jerk back to them.
Yeah.
You have to realize there's just grace.
Yeah, and it's not personal. I'll tell you this it
isn't, because the next morning it'll be fine.
Yeah, and you may still be hurt.
Yeah.
But I promise you, we have moved on.
And they didn't mean it. It wasn't even personal about you.
And you know what's crazy, Leslie? Sometimes if you catch me in one of my moments, right, where I'm like having...
I'll just throat punch you.
Right. You better not. You may be, but, but if you're catching me in one of my moments where I'm funky. Yeah, I'm in a funk. And then not only am I in a funk, I'm probably lashing out in some way. I'll probably call you 30 minutes later and go, God dang, I'm real sorry that here's what's happening right now in my life. Now, I will tell you.
Everybody will do that.
I will. So I was about to say, I will tell you a lot of therapy, a lot of self-growth.
You've got a little checkbox that I did these things.
A lot of things have helped me get to the point where I'm at. One of my best stories I can say. And we're really not we're off topic. We're gonna get back on topic. Maybe we'll see. He was my guy was very, very severe PTSD. He had just lost his wife. It was
Traumatic.
It was a challenge. And it did feel like every day we were fighting demons together. So it felt like every day we were fighting demons together. And I would, he would yell, and not at me, because
Not at you.
Not even with me. He would be yelling at the person on the other side, right? The loan officer, the appraiser, whatever. And I know how to speak. I know how to speak, right? So I know how to speak PTSD language, and I would just tell him, and maybe you can learn from this. Hey, remember when we talked about this? There's going to come a time when you're going to feel yourself flipping that switch. It's okay. I got you. But if you can feel yourself flipping that switch, just call me. Don't hurt my loan officer. Don't hurt our inspector. Don't hurt our contractor. Just call me. We'll cuss each other out, and we'll move on from it.
Right.
So,
well, there's so many small little triggers that can cause them.
Literally, it was paperwork.
Yeah,
That's what triggered
you
it.
need the page 7 of the bank statement that's
For the
blank.
15th time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like, why do you need it? Because it's stupid, because it's blank. I get it. And I always start with, hey, some of these stuff is stupid, but we are the most regulated business behind medical doctors.
Yeah.
And so
Thank you, 2008.
Yes. So we get it. And I start with that when I'm talking to them. So if there's a moment that your frustration is super high and you don't think you can deal with it today, that's okay. Then let's call tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll work on it tomorrow. But I think it's really important to have that personality.
Yeah.
To be able to be kind and patient and gracious, and be able to say, okay, let's put a pin. Let's put a pin in it, and then we'll get back to that tomorrow. And start early enough to where you're not on a frenzy contract that you're like, holy crap, we're not going to close on time because I can't get this last piece of document. So the earlier the better in when you're dealing with that type of a veteran or anybody who has credit challenges. You want to start early. So
don't put it to the back. Don't put it to the back burner.
You shouldn't be shopping for a home until you are approved. Anyway.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
But
if you're somebody who fell in love before you dated, which is what I say, we can't get married until we date. So there's a way. There's a way to do the dance in a better way. And so having a great realtor to explain that, going, hey, we don't want to see houses yet until we know we can get money.
Yeah, let's see what
Unless you have cash. Do you have cash to pay this house?
Let's see where we're at. Let's see where we're at.
Yeah, because we don't want the emotional roller coaster, because maybe the house approval is $280, not $350.
Yeah.
And, we want to make sure that we're setting those expectations. But I think when you're working with lending, though, you have to be willing to, one, get to know your loan officer a little bit before you start vomiting your details.
Absolutely.
Does this loan officer seem like somebody that is an order taker? Check, 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 check. And if you are not that beautiful VA loan, that there are beautiful VA loans out there. Thank you, God, for those.
Yes.
I love those.
Yes, for sure.
But the harder ones are more rewarding, to be honest with you. If you've had some moments, you want to start sooner, and you want to have the time to interview and check off whether or not that loan officer, that realtor is your right partner. And then when you find the right partner, I promise you it's going to be an amazing experience. But when you have the wrong partner, it is a battlefield.
It is gut-wrenching. And I tell all of my clients, not just my VA clients, what I can almost always guarantee you is that there will come a time where we will fight.
Because you'll push back and I'll push back.
I will not say I'm not your yes man. I'm not your yes man. I cannot be. That's not me being your advocate.
You have to be the captain.
I am the captain of this ship. And I tell them when they sit down with me before we sign anything, I am the captain of this ship. You will tell me the destination that you want to go to.
And the time to arrive.
And the time that you want to arrive. And I will steer the ship where it needs to be steered. I will not tell you what subdivision you need to go live in, what price point you need to look at. I won't tell you any of those things, but what I will tell you is every step of the way that we need to go.
Yep. And we've had great successes in the past that people who have had failures before.
Yep.
Because they didn't have all the information.
Correct.
That's one thing that's amazing is that you are somebody, no matter how minute that detail may be, you're going to be the person that just makes sure you trust, but you inspect.
Yes.
And you make sure that that person is done. Okay, you got that all under control, right? We know that we're going to do this, right?
Yeah. Did you pay your credit card this month that we talked about?
Did you choose your home insurance? And you do realize that's the payment, right? And are you comfortable with that? I mean, we're gonna say the same things, but two different voices.
Yeah.
And it just gives us that peace of mind to know that there's no surprises. You should never have surprises at closing. Unless they're good ones, like here's money back.
Hey, here's some money back because we wasn't expecting it or whatever.
Yeah.
But there should really be no surprises.
Right.
Maybe the last surprise that you should anticipate is about 5 days before closing, and that's just because you're getting a CD and you're looking over it and you're saying, okay, where's this going? Where's this going? Where's
Should
this
not
going?
be surprises. Maybe you need clarification.
Yes, clarification.
Because to me, if you're a great lender, you have already set those expectations in a very small margin. You shouldn't have big swings in those numbers.
No, absolutely. Speaking of, I want to pick your brain. Okay. I'm not going to offend anybody. Okay? I don't think so.
We're going to pause and see if we can cut this out if she does.
No. I'm not going to offend anybody. So let's compare. All right? I want to compare some things. I'm buying a new build.
Okay.
You know where I'm going with this, or maybe?
Probably.
I'm buying a new build. Okay? I'm using, I originally reach out to you, Leslie, and I go, what can you give me, blah, 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 blah. And then I go to find a new build, right? And the new build has this beautiful thing called a
in-house lender.
Yeah, or a preferred lender, right? And they're giving they're giving the preferred lender 6%, and they're giving you 4%.
You want to use me still.
Tell me why.
Because there's a lot of smoke and mirrors in lending.
Okay, before we start this, I want you right now, if you don't take anything else from this podcast, I want you to listen. We're gonna try and make this less than a 1 minute and 30 seconds interview, so I can make sure we put it on TikTok.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So I'm gonna ask the question again, and I want everyone to listen and hear. Okay. I want you to really open your ears. Don't stop driving. If you're driving, you're listening to the podcast.
Keep your hands on the wheel.
But if I really, really want you to hear what she's about to say, because I'm not getting involved because I don't want to piss anybody off. So I want to hear straight from the horse's mouth, right? Okay, so I'm gonna ask the question again. I'm buying a house. I go, hey, my realtor, I want to buy a new house. We go and look at it, and the builder is giving preferred lender X, Y, and Z 6%, but they're giving 4% to non-preferred. Okay, tell me why. Tell me. Give me the rundown on why. What's that mean for me?
So first of all, you need to be working with a transparent lender. So in those instances, I will tell you most of the time, I'm going to say like 95% of the time, I'm still a better deal. 2 reasons. 1, I waive all my lender fees when it comes to a VA loan, just as a thank you for service. That saves you about $2,500 per loan. So right there is 1% usually.
Yep.
Okay. Second is that I don't over quote my rates, and meaning that I'm very competitive in my rates. And so I'm not going to pad my rates to where I'm doing a buy down for you, but you're not really getting a buy down. So you should be able to get a loan estimate from their preferred lender, and then you should be able to get a loan estimate from me, and you will be able to see that even with less contribution, you're going to get a better opportunity with me.
There you go. Now maybe I won't put this in the TikTok, what I'm about to say. Because the people that may get offended by this ain't listening to the full.
They're not going to listen to the whole.
They're just
podcast.
listening to the highlights. They're listening to the highlights. I want you to understand that when you walk into a situation and they're throwing
contribution at you, money
they're throwing
at you.
all this stuff at you, I need you to understand you are not going to be able to use all of that.
You have to be very careful to read your contracts, because I have seen builders
builders, not some, all builders.
I'll give you 6%
towards closing costs.
But they say you can't use it for buy down or discount.
Or incentives.
Right. And it's like, there's no way your closing costs can be that much. It's just ridiculous.
And the reason why I'm so angry about this, right? And I'm not even angry. That's the wrong word.
It's misleading.
It's misleading. And then I have to go back and explain to my clients why this preferred lender and this non-preferred lender, who this one's getting 6% and this one's getting 2%, are showing you the same monthly payment. What's
Whoa. Yeah.
And I have to explain to them, it's because it's all smoke and mirrors. It's all kind of, and please, I love all the builders. I'm not saying
No, but we understand it's a marketing thing.
yes, it's a
It is
marketing thing. It has to be. You have to be competitive with the next person beside you. I understand that. But what I need all of you to listen and hear me, and let me tell you that don't fall for that. When we walk in, I don't fall for the pretty, here's 6% on top of 10,000 and top of this and top. If I don't have an amendment from that builder that states that I can use excess to go towards buy downs or to go towards paying debt.
Well, that money is yours. Basically,
what are we doing with it?
You're going to get 6% plus $10,000. We don't care how you spend it. That's how the contract should read if you're going to get the full benefit.
Yes.
And when you get those kind of benefits, which there are a couple of builders who have done that, especially in closeouts, I'm telling you, there's some amazing things you can do, which a lot of lenders really don't do well.
Correct.
And that is they cap it at 4%. And that is not a VA guide.
It's not. And that's what I tried to explain to a loan officer yesterday that was trying to, tell me, you can only cap it at 4. That's not the case. Yes. Okay.
Read your guides.
If you read it and you don't look into it, yes, 4%. It clearly states 4%. But what does it say for the 4%? Up to 4% for
concessions.
Not
for closing costs.
Not for closing costs. For concessions.
And concessions are meaning that you are doing something other than the normal and common and customary closing costs. And there is some interpretation for underwriting, just so you know. So like with our company, we consider 2 points to be a common and customary kind of deal. So anything above 2 points is going to be considered a concession.
Yeah.
Okay. I think VA defines your prepaids are concessions.
Concessions.
Because those are your money.
Correct.
But what happens is it's really difficult to not spend all the money. It really is difficult because VA wants to benefit the veteran. And so I've had $23,000 concessions on a new build before, which is awesome. And what we did is we couldn't spend it all because at some point...
It's impossible. It's really impossible.
At some point it becomes ridiculous to buy down the rate anymore.
You're buying a $280,000 house with $23,000 in incentive.
Correct.
The VA is just going to be like, come the fuck on. Yeah.
But VA does allow you to pay off debt. And we get to pay off. To me, I won't leave any extra.
Yeah.
If there's $2,000 extra, I'm going to go, okay, what do you have to pay off?
Yeah.
And this just happened recently, and the buyer didn't have any debt. And I'm like, okay, do you want an alarm system for your house? Do you want a soft water heater? Do you want a home warranty?
Yeah, an extra home warranty.
So you can spend that money for the veteran benefit.
Yes.
As a lender, it's my responsibility to be sure that I am giving them the full benefit of that concession. Now, if I'm out of money and I'm out of concession, there's nothing else I can do, then that's it.
Yeah.
I have not had very many veterans with no debt.
Yeah.
But
we're all pretty terrible.
But not terrible, but I'm just saying somebody has something.
Yes.
But even if you don't, in this particular case, we did a water softener and an alarm system. And the builder paid for that. And we used their concession. So it's just, again, not being autopilot.
Correct.
Not being the checklist and looking at, hey, did you pay for your inspection up front? Hey, did you, and be able to get those monies back. And being mindful that every dollar matters to everybody.
And then for you realtors out there, not being new builds are the easiest because I don't have to work. I can't tell you how many times.
That's not true because I think there's more work.
It's more work if
you're doing from dirt.
If you're not only doing from dirt, there's more work if you're catching these things.
Right.
Like a lot of realtors don't even write the new build contracts. The builders do.
Sure.
Well, let me see that, right? And I want to give a shout out to Classic American Homes real quick. Liz is my girl with Classic. She's amazing. Liz Garcia. Her husband is also my HVAC guy. He's freaking amazing.
Perfect.
So if you need HVAC, my guy Jesus is pretty freaking awesome. So anyways, it doesn't matter. Giving a quick shout out to Classic American real quick because we wrote the contract beautifully, right? 4% towards non-preferred lender because I'm not a big we're going to edit that out.
Yeah.
But
you already had the loan done, and
Yes,
the lender was ready to go.
and a phenomenal rate. It was right where we wanted to be, so forth and so forth. We're actually closing on Monday, and we got to the closing table, and we noticed my lender was using some of that 4% to buy down and do some things, and title was like, absolutely not, because this blurb in the contract. Well, me and Liz thought we had already did the amendment, so it was kind of a little bit like, oh shoot. But what I will tell you is Classic never fought me. They didn't say no. They said, send the amendment. Give me that. I will tell you,
Class Act.
not too many builders in El Paso will amend.
I can name a couple that are absolutely horrendous.
I don't.
But I won't.
We won't do that.
No, I would not do that on camera. But I'm just telling you that don't. I mean, it's bait and switch to me. It's like you're telling them, I'm going to give you 6%.
Right.
You're not even giving them 2.
You're not even giving
because
them
my
2.
closing costs are so low with no buy down.
Exactly.
That it's like, well, there's no real value in that contribution then, because you're not getting it.
And then not only that,
be mindful.
I need
and
you
here's
to-
the thing: there's great people out there too. There's great realtors. There's great builders. There's great lenders. But read your stuff and make sure you have a full understanding.
Yes.
Of what you're signing.
Exactly. And then also, oh man, my train of thought. Well, I was going to tell you something, and it really.
Train left the station.
Yeah, it'll come back to me. But yeah, we originally wrote the contract, and we sat in the living room of that home with the buyers, and I said, okay, you're giving us 4% for whatever. So you got to know how to say what you need to say, right? And the answer I received back was, yes, you can do whatever you want with that 4%. Okay, when you tell me that, I'm holding you to it.
Yeah, that 4% means it's for the veteran to spend however they want to do.
That's what I was going to say. Also, if you're getting charged, if you got a house for $250,000 and you're about to buy a house for $250,000 and your loan officer is quoting you $9,000, $10,000, $11,000, $12,000 in closing cost,
get a second opinion.
Please get a second opinion. I personally, on a VA loan, without using any for debt, debt or for buy downs, just my normal closing costs, ranges anywhere from $4,000 to $7,000, depending on how big the house is. Now, obviously,
taxes.
Yes, and obviously, if we're going for a massive multi-million or 600, it can change. It can change, but on average, here in El Paso, your VA closing costs should be anywhere from $3,500 to, we'll say, $8,000 on the top end, and that's like, holy crap, top end.
Yep, and that's usually with a point, honestly.
Yes.
It's usually with a point, and the challenge is that you do have that tax situation, because you can have $800 a month in taxes.
Absolutely.
That's $2,400 right there.
Exactly.
But I have seen estimates. In fact, I just rescued a loan that the veteran was going to come in with $16,000 to close.
Jeez.
And the seller, get this, the builder, no, it wasn't a builder, it was a seller, was giving already $12,000 to close. So it's like, what the hey? What the hey?
Where is that
Where's
money?
the money? Yes. So the lender was charging an origination point, underwriting processing fees, discount points, all this stuff. When he came with me, he got his earnest money back. So he got a $2,000 check back versus coming in with $16,000. Which one at the same rate that they were getting. So it's so important to understand that interest rate is important, but it is not the most important.
It's low on the totem pole for me. I'm going to be honest with you.
It shouldn't be the reason you buy or don't buy.
You cannot let your rate be your driving factor. What needs to be why do you want to pay $3,500 to buy down your rate when you're only saving $30 to $60 a month on your mortgage? Do you know how long you must hold on to that home?
That's a 5-year, 6-year
before you even get back. Not even break even just from the house. Break even just for the buy down.
Right. So here's the thing you need to think about. You have to look at the whole picture. That's why I'm saying you cannot say, oh, well, they're quoting me a 4% rate. First of all, you're paying for it.
Yes.
You know, it's free. It's just like you're going to get those postcards in the mail saying it's time to refinance,
Mm-hmm.
and call me today for a 4.99 rate. But then you read the small print, and the closing costs are $12,000. I'm like, that's not time for you to refinance. Yeah. You know, it's just not. You got to read the small print, and you've got to ask for estimates in writing. And if they will not give you an estimate in writing, you need to find a different lender.
Yeah, there's something they're hiding.
It is very you should have it very transparent. I'll snip my rate sheet to you and say, here's what today's rates are.
Yes.
You pick where you want to be. You can get all the way down into the fours. It's going to cost you a fortune. And if you're an active duty military person, I'm not going to let you spend points because you're going to be here 3 to 4 years. And you cannot recover that money. Now, if your seller's contribution is covering 1 point
Let's
or so,
do it.
great.
Absolutely.
But you do not need to be that is not in your best interest.
It's not.
And you should have an advocate.
And how dare you realtors out there? How
Well,
dare
I think
you?
everybody needs to understand lowest rate is not how to sell the home.
That is not.
You have to look at the picture and you have to look at the costs. And I love when people say, well, can you match this? I said, sure, send me the estimate. Let me look.
Yes.
And I look at it and I see how many.
Yeah,
oh
I
my
can match it.
gosh,
Give me another
numbers.
$5,000.
Yeah. And I said, you don't need me to match it.
Yeah.
You need me to do a better job for you.
Absolutely.
Let me show you how you can save a ton of money here.
Absolutely. And I say how dare you realtors because what I mean by that is because
Don't go on autopilot.
and not only what they're saying is, what do you want your monthly payment to be? $1,700 a month. Okay, well, I can get you in a house for $200,000 and then we can buy down the rate and we can do this. No. Be as real as you possibly.
What's the worst possible case it could be?
I'm telling you right now, if they only want to pay $1,700 for a mortgage, they don't have $5,000 extra to get you happy with your commission.
Right.
Because you want them to increase the value that they're looking at.
And that's why you really need to talk to a great lender first to really set your bumpers. You know, it's like you need your bumpers on where you want to be in a payment,
Right.
where you want to be cash to close. And you know, we're gonna relay and say, hey, we need to stay between 225,
Right.
and we need the seller to give X amount of dollars towards contribution to make this work.
Yep.
Or we need to wait.
And then not only that, like, okay, what is out there for my buyers? Can we do a 2-1 buy down? Can we do a 3-2-1 buy down?
Correct.
What is there? There's a 1-1, isn't there?
There is. Buy downs are a very creative way of using contribution.
Yes, exactly.
The cool thing about buy downs is that if you have the seller has to or the builder has to pay for it. Mm-hmm. And if they do, that buy down is sitting in your escrow account. So, for example, let's say you bought a house last year. And
Break it down for him, Leslie. Break it down for him.
Well, you bought it at the peak of rates. Let's say
Yes.
you were 7.5% rate.
Right.
Okay. But you did a buy down 6.5 to 5.5. So your first year's 5.5, your second year's 6.5, and your third and final year forever is 7.5. Mm-hmm. But let's say next year, which is what everybody's anticipating, the interest rates are going to be a little bit lower, please.
From
God.
your mouth to Jesus's ears.
But the hope is that inflation will start to cool and we'll start seeing maybe the market get better.
Right.
But let's just say that in June of 2025, I'm going to call it,
Yeah.
that our rates are going to be 5%. So if you have done that buy down, you're going to be at a 6.5% rate by that time. But you still have one more rung of your buy down.
Yeah.
But if the rates are 5, it's time for you to refinance.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Absolutely.
we can save
Right
you
now,
money.
right now. Pull the trigger.
We can save you money if
Absolutely.
there's no cost.
Yes.
If there's
If
no
there's no
fee
cost.
for that 5%.
Yep.
And so that extra money that you have for your buy down is refunded to you and or credited towards the balance of your mortgage. It is awesome.
It's
way to
your
do it.
money. It's in your escrow.
Much better than a permanent buy down because
Absolutely.
that permanent buy down is done. You lost it.
You lost it. And now we refinanced. And if you used your VA, there's this beautiful program called an EARL.
Correct.
And it's amazing. And that's another podcast for another day. And we're not going to go into it right now because it will take another hour.
I'll just tell you that you don't have to qualify again on an EARL and there's no appraisal. And so those two things are really important. But also double check numbers with whoever's saying do
Exactly.
it now. Make sure you come to your mortgage mom and make sure
Because there are
what
some
you're doing.
qualifications or some
You have to
some
have
guidelines.
recoupment. You have
Yeah,
to
the
have
VA
recoupment.
will not let you make a stupid financial decision. So if you don't have that,
Well, let's just caveat that with there are rules for that, but it still happens where lenders
Yes,
do take
I
advantage
know.
of our veterans.
I know. Just call her.
Yep.
Or call me, and then we'll
Let's just let us look at your numbers
Yes,
to make sure it
absolutely.
makes sense.
Absolutely.
Because you want a different
do
eye
it at
on
the
it.
right time. You want to pull it at the right time because let's say they do come down to 5, and it's middle of next year, God willing, right?
Right. That's my hope.
And then we also see that the Treasury is still below a 4%. We may tell you, hey, give it another 2 weeks.
Yeah, let's see
we
what
may
happens.
get a 4.7 in 2 weeks.
You never know.
And that's something that like a realtor or a loan officer that knows how to read the Treasury and knows how to read the Fed and all that wonderful stuff that can determine, okay, are rates on the uprise? Are they down on the decrease? Are they at the standstill? Where are we at
What a
on
great
that?
conversation for you to have when you're interviewing is,
Yeah.
can your loan officer, I'm picking on loan officers, you pick on realtors. Can your loan officer explain to you how rates are determined?
Yeah.
You know, because if they can't and they can't show you, you know, some of the data, because to me, data doesn't lie.
It does not.
You know, you can BS your way through. Oh, well, you know, we think and what's going to happen. But the truth is I can show you the candlestick. You know,
I got it
rate
on my phone. There's a beautiful little app.
and show you kind of, this is
Yes.
why your rates are not coming down. This is why. Now, wouldn't you rather me qualify you at too high of a rate than too low of a rate? And so then you fall in
Absolutely.
love and you can't buy the house.
Absolutely.
Because I told you it's going to be 5. Well, it's not. It's 6.
Yes.
You know, and I want you to be prepared as the worst case because we're all wanting to prepare for the worst case.
Yes. And you picked on the loan officers, I'll pick on the realtors. If your realtor doesn't understand the Treasury or they don't have an app where they can watch every day and see where we're
Advise
at,
you.
where we're at, the candlesticks up and down, like my phone, it's a beautiful little I think it's MSNBC app that I follow. By the way, I'm not affiliated with them or anything like that. It's just a good.
It's just a
or
good
CNBC,
data.
CNBC.
It's good data. It's good
and
data.
it's this beautiful little thing right here, and you're not gonna be able to see it, but Leslie can. And it's telling me it wants me to buy something, and it shows me these nice little candlesticks right here, and it tells me that in August, September we were really low, and that's when a lot of people were wanting to buy, and then holy crap, we went up. But really and truthfully, it's a lot of information on that to just say the beautiful number is 4.0. If you open that up and it says 3.75, that's a good indicator that our rates are going to start coming down, or they have come down, or today your loan officer is going to tell you we're holding on a few more days.
Right.
And then when you start seeing that 3.7 get closer to that 4.0, or maybe it's over 4.1 or 4.0, let's lock that mother.
Well, and if you're a nervous person, if you're somebody who's going to
float
lose
it.
sleep every night, the truth is we want you to lock your rate the minute that you're
Absolutely.
comfortable.
You're comfortable.
Because the truth is that the difference between a 3.75 rate and a 4% rate is very, very small. Mentally, it sounds so much better. That's why they offer a 3.99 rate.
Yeah.
But
it's
it is just the
dollars.
same payment as 4%.
It's dollars,
pretty
and
much,
that's what I have a lady who I'm trying to explain to her, right? So she's been wanting me to show her some houses, and if you're listening to this, I love you. She's been, hey, let's go look at some resales, and they're $190,000, $200,000 resale. Her payment is right where it's, it's right where it's at, $1,900. Okay, what do you like about this house? Well, nothing really. It needs a lot of this. It needs a lot of this.
Sure.
Okay, well, a street over, Desert View's building some new builds for $205,000 to $225,000. Let's go look at them.
Yeah.
We got some incentives. Well, not really, because it's a lower price, so they don't really give incentives. But we got warranties. We got
Everything's brand
it's
new.
brand new. You don't have to worry about negotiating with these sellers. You don't have to do all this stuff. And you want to know the difference in her payment between that $190,000 resale and that $205,000 new build? The difference in payment is less than $100. Yeah. And that's with no buy downs. That's with no incentives. That's
you
with
gotta
nothing.
compare apples to apples.
Yes.
And that's the thing is, it didn't, if you were going to go in for major surgery, you're going to get a second opinion.
Yeah.
Just to see, is this the best thing for me? But when you make the most important purchase of your life, a lot of times you don't get a second opinion. It still scratched my head over that. Why wouldn't you just get a second opinion? Because if nothing else, just to have something to compare. Yeah. And let me just share with you, bankrate.com or online comparison is not what I'm talking about.
No.
I'm talking about speaking to somebody to be able to talk about your debt ratio, your credit score, what type of loan, really trying to custom tailor your loan to fit your needs rather than just putting you in square hole, square peg.
Because you're not.
Everybody's different.
Look at us. We're different sizes and shapes. How we fit in the same
say
spot.
AI can't do what I do.
No. And I use AI every day of my life.
Absolutely.
I love
It's
AI.
a great tool.
It's amazing. It will never replace me because while I use it, I add on to what I find out. Because at the end of the day, my eyes, my hands, my work has seen history. I have seen it with my own eyes. I have witnessed it I have lived it, and I know what's coming down the pipeline. I know what's happening. You can't. Well, ChatGPT told me.
Right. And that's a very
Yeah, it
dangerous
told me
thing.
that too.
It's based on history.
Yeah.
It's not based on future.
Yes.
And if you look in the history of El Paso, especially, our appreciation rates are 1% to 2%.
Well, guess what happened last year?
Correct. If you looked at since COVID,
Sheesh.
holy guacamole, it's gone up. But I'm just saying, if you only looked at the past, you would not have the right information.
I agree.
It's just like listening to the news saying you have to have 20% down to buy a house. You do not. You do not.
Yeah.
VA loans can have down payment assistance. And though you don't need a down payment, that money can be used to pay closing costs.
Absolutely.
So, or you can put it as a down payment. So if you want your payment lower, you can use that DPA to put it as down payment. Your VA funding fee can be reduced if you put a down payment. And so some people choose to do that. Especially if you're a second-time VA user and you don't have any disability, it's a little bit more expensive. So it's nice to have that flexibility to try to custom tailor your loan to fit your needs. And again, you should have a consultation with your lender. You should have a consultation with your realtor. It shouldn't just be an application.
No.
It should be that hopes and dreams kind of conversation. What do you want to do with this house in 3 years? What do you want to do? What's your vision 5 years from now?
Are you wanting, and I'll say it like this. Whenever you sit down with me in your VA, because it's kind of what we're talking about today, I ask them, is this the beginning of your portfolio or the end of your portfolio? Meaning, is this your one and done, or your intent to buy this house, live in it while you're here at Fort Bliss, and then move on to your next duty station, keep this house as an investment, and buy your next one? And what you answer that question is how we're moving forward. We're not looking, if you're telling me this is the beginning of my portfolio.
Awesome.
Great. I love that for you. Your wants and needs no longer matter to me because you're not buying this house really for you.
Correct.
You're buying this house
is an investment
to
for
make
a
money.
long term.
So now my job as your realtor isn't about what do you love. It's me informing you what they love, what they're going to pay top dollar for. Right. Does it have a utility room, or is the washer and dryer in the garage? It does make a difference. That adds value.
Are you in a great school district?
Yes.
Are you in the places? Because even though you may not have children, whoever you rent to may
if you buy a
to.
4-bedroom, 2-bath, chances are the person that's going to rent that house from you is going to have at least one kiddo. So we need to make sure we're buying in a safe neighborhood.
School districts.
We're doing this. And now if you tell me, hey, look, I don't know what the future holds. I just want to buy this house for myself right now. Then, of course, your wants and needs are the number one priority. But if you come to me and you tell me, Erica, I think I want to have a portfolio.
Yeah.
I want to start growing my wealth and have passive income. I'm going to tell you, pump the brakes on what you think you want. Right. Let me show you what.
And here's a cool thing.
Money.
VA allows you to buy up to 4 units.
Yes.
You can buy 4 units, no down payment.
Yes.
Holy guacamole.
You got to live in one.
You do have to live in one.
For 1 year.
1 year. And then if you PCS out, you're able to have 4 doors rented. So now what an amazing investment for you to start building wealth on.
That's what I'm saying.
And I think so many people don't think past that. So we want to have those discussions with you. It's not just be, like I said, checklist. We want to make sure that we're talking about where do you want to be?
Yep.
Who are you and what do you want to be?
Exactly.
But I think if you don't take anything away from this except for 2 things. 1, make sure you get second opinions. 2, look at what you sign and read it before you sign it. If you don't know and it's too much lender speak or realtor speak, then you have advocates here that will help translate for you to say this is what this really means. And it doesn't cost you anything to get advice.
100%. You sit down with me, it's 100% free.
100%, always with me. We'll even do an in-file credit report with you to say, here's what you need to do to get ready. But I think having an advocate, somebody who's going to go to battle for you, is so very important, especially in this market.
Yes.
And there's some great deals to be had. And the truth is if you're thinking about buying a home, you need to start looking now.
Yeah.
Because when the market does start coming down, what happens is competition starts heating up and you're back to having multiple offers. You're also seeing prices go up. and concessions come down. And so right now you've got sellers and builders who are willing to help you get into a home.
Biting, just like
Chomping at the bit.
chomping at the bit.
Saying, let me help you get into this house.
Yeah.
If you are thinking that this is the year you get it in a house, you can get some smoking deals right now.
Yeah.
In the next 30,
And try
60
to
days.
remember PCS season is upon us. It's January, February, March. So whether you buy or not, doesn't matter to me. I want you to buy. If you don't, that's fine.
Sure.
Just try to, what I always tell people is
Consider the option.
there is no better time than the right time for you. And I don't know that time. She doesn't know that time. Only you know that time. Rates cannot determine if it's the right time for you. The prices of homes cannot determine if it's the right time for you. You must determine if it's the right time for you. If you're waiting for the perfect time in real estate, you've already missed it. It was during COVID. And even during COVID, it wasn't even great. It was actually pretty terrible because we were
very stressful.
We were killing each other to try to.
Yeah.
To
It was so much overbidding.
Yes.
And so to me, this is a better market to buy.
Absolutely.
Than COVID, because you're going to get better pricing. You can refinance your rate. You can't refinance the price.
Exactly.
Of the house.
And not only that, it's a better time to buy if you have the right advocate, if you have the right negotiator on your team, because the deal is there to be had, it's there to be grabbed. We're talking about houses sitting on the market for 4 months to a year in some instances, because I'll put it to you this way. If you go and buy a 300, and we're going to end on this because we're running out of time, and I know the girls are probably like, Erica, get off this podcast. I got work to do. But I'm going to put it to you this way. If you're trying to sell your house at $380,000, the average mortgage on that home is $3,200 to $3,400.
It's out of most people's price range.
90% of El Paso, it is out of their price range. You are now in the 10%. That's a low percentage, by the way, of homes that people are looking for. And you and 10 other homes are in that same thing. So you need to understand, as a seller, patience is key. And that's really hard. I know that's difficult to hear. Patience is key, and maybe the PCS season is going to be the turnaround. Let's hope and pray. But for the buyers, if you are looking for a massive home and you can afford that, you better jump. There's crazy deals to be made, and I think you probably should jump now. Now, if you're the average buyer in El Paso at $250 and below, you're still having competition today.
Yes, you are still having some competition, but not like COVID.
Not like COVID. I don't think.
And you're still getting seller and builder concessions usually to help you.
Absolutely.
With some of those costs. And again, it's just prepare yourself. So get yourself with the right people. Make sure you ask lots of questions. If you don't understand something, don't walk away. Get your answers. If you don't get your answers, find a different person to work with, because you should not walk away from your realtor or your mortgage person without knowing what's next. What's your next steps? And so we would love to help you.
Yeah.
I know that we love helping. Even if we don't represent you at the moment, we want to help you not make a mistake.
Absolutely. And because everybody deserves to be a homeowner.
Amen.
Everybody deserves to be a homeowner, and you deserve the right advocacy, and you deserve the right deal. And my services to sit down and talk and brainstorm is 100% free. So that's why we're doing this podcast. That's why we're doing all this wonderful stuff. So the one takeaway from this video that I want to make sure everyone really hears and listens is, make sure you're interviewing the loan officer, and make sure you're interviewing multiple loan officers, no matter if it's a new build, it's a resale, it doesn't matter. And you're asking them for their loan estimate so you can, what's this? What's this? Boom, boom, boom. And I want you to go into every interview, whether it's with a realtor or with a lender, and I want you to have 3 to 5 solid questions. And if you want those questions, you want questions, you can reach out to me. I'll give you 5 good questions to ask your loan officer or ask your realtor, and so will she, and her information will be in the description below as well. But don't go into someone's office prepared to give them the job.
You have to make sure they're a match.
Yes, you need to make sure they're a match, and you also need to interview. You are hiring this person whether you know it or not.
And it can save you thousands of dollars
Yes.
if you just are making sure that you are understanding and that they're taking the time to talk with you,
Absolutely.
not talk at you.
Yes. You are hiring this person. You're the buyer of a home. You're financing this home 100%, which means your dollar bill is paying my commission and paying her commission and paying his commission and paying their commission. It doesn't matter what anyone else tells you. Your dollar bill is really the truth, the dollar that is paying everybody. So you need to make sure if you are buying a home that you have the best advocate and make those people earn their commission. They're not just paper pushers. They need to be advocates for you and making sure the deal is as strong and as robust as possible. Okay?
Absolutely.
All right. So I want to thank you for coming today. I really appreciate it. And before I finish, this beautiful sign right here was made by John Feminella. He's also going to be in the descriptions. If you need any woodwork, he's military. He's active duty. He does a lot of coin racks, a lot of really cool going away presents, all kinds of incredibly talented. Has a crazy following on Instagram. I think he has over 70,000 followers on Instagram. I don't know. I may be hyping him up too much, but
Great gifts.
He's an amazing woodworker. Reach out to him if you have anything you need, and he will probably be able to make it happen. Other than that, I want to thank you for coming on the podcast.
It was fun.
We'll have you again. We've already had you twice.
So many things to say. So many things to say. So little time to say them.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
everything that we offer though is information and education. So
Yeah.
just reach out. You wouldn't be in better hands.
You would not be in better hands. Okay, so that's it. And so if you are listening on your streaming platforms, make sure you're leaving us a review. If you're watching us on TikTok or YouTube or any of those wonderful platforms, make sure you're leaving us a comment, you're subscribed, you're liking all the content. We are at 45 followers on YouTube, which is not a lot, but we're growing. And I mean, this is my passion. This is what I really am trying to push for in 2025. So if you could help me out with some content, some comments and things like that, that would be greatly appreciated. Smash the thumbs up button, all that wonderful stuff. Other than that, my goal with this podcast is to make sure that you have knowledge, because more knowledge today means more power tomorrow, and we're here to make it powerful. We'll see you later. Later.